Okay guys, train school here. Today we're not really anything to do with model trains this video, but I've been having a bit of an experiment with TECs, thermoelectric coolers, also known as Peltiers, and I bought them off eBay for about $5 or something like that, and they're Peltier 12706. So I think they're roughly 70 to 90 watts heat dissipation. So I was just going to do a little test to see whether or not they're any good. Sometimes you get faulty ones. This one, by accident, I burned out because I had it all set up and I was testing it, and what happened was that I don't think I had enough thermal grease on the hot side, because it was getting cold, and then all of a sudden it just stopped cooling. So so for this one I've put on some thermal paste, just normal computer thermal paste, to help transfer the heat. Basically what's going to happen, one side's going to get hot, the other side's going to get cold, hopefully. This was just a nice big CPU cooler I pulled out of a old computer I found lying around. It should do this job quite nicely, dissipating the heat from the Peltier. Because, well, I'm not 100% sure on this, but from what I've heard and what I've read up, the Peltier basically reduces its, efficiency is quite affected by whether or not it can actually dissipate the heat to create the heat difference between the two sides. So and definitely, you know, if you don't have a heatsink on, it's gonna cook probably within maybe 10-15 seconds, like our last one did. So I'm not going to do that again. And then that was just the base plate from the main board I pulled out. It's really good, this, because it's just got 4 screws. You just clamp it in. That's milo tin wood. Very, very high tech. No. And well, we're just going to use that to put the water on, and it helps keep the tension. I'm not really sure how well it's going to conduct the heat, but we'll see. So hooked it up using a terminal block connector to the Peltier, which is the white thing under the metal plate. I've also hooked up the fan. I don't know that it's going to make that much difference. And I just had some water in here, so it's still a little bit wet. And I'll basically put some water in and see what happens. And apparently if it's good, then it should sort of freeze, or at least get cold. I mean, these aren't by any means the most powerful Peltiers out, but you know, they still work reasonably well. Power's hooked up to the Molex connector off this little 430 watt thermal tank supply. And if you are considering using the main board connector, I didn't want to chop up all the PSU, so I bought an adapter cable off eBay. Just chopped that up, so green and black starts it for testing. I was going to get my power off here, but then I had a look at some of the other videos and everyone was using the Molex, so as long as it's not a fan connector, you know, like that's recommended. So as far as I know, it's got 2 rails. yeah, 12 volt, 18 amps, 12 volt, 0.8 amps. So we're definitely going to want the 18 amps, which I'm fairly certain would be coming off this to power the hard drives and CD-ROMs, which need probably 1 to 2 amps each. You correct me if I'm wrong there. So anyway, we'll start it up, and we've got the fluke out, so you can measure the temperature. Don't know how well it works, but it should be fine. Alrighty. So we're just going to lift this up a little, because otherwise the heat, well, the fan isn't going to get much airflow. Alright, here we go. So you can see that it's starting to sort of fog up around that area, which is the centre of the Peltier, so I'd imagine would be the most concentrated area of heat. And it's getting quite cold. It does take a while. These are only the cheap ones, just $5 or $6 or something off eBay. I'm thinking I might get some better ones. So what I was wanting to do was have a water cooling set up, so that with a little tank or something, so the Peltiers cool the water in the tank. But it's either going to have to be really like a tiny tank, or I'm thinking if I were to use 2 or 3 of these 90 watt Peltiers, that would work better. I'd have to calculate how much, heat. I do know the processors pump out a fair bit of heat, but it'd be kind of a fun project, just for a bit of a, not very practical, but just for a bit of fun. Alright, so you can see there's getting a bit of condensation there, which is kind of why you don't want to put it straight on your processor. So now, don't know what's going to happen if we put the probe on. So our ambient temp's about 26 or so. And it's slowly dropping. From the ones I've seen on YouTube, they generally drop down to about 3, 4, 5 degrees pretty quick. This one's taking a bit longer. I'm just holding the temperature probe on, you can see. So going down to 9 degrees now. So the heat transfer may be affected by the metal plate, probably not helping. And now it's kind of going back up. Either way though, it's dropped a good 10 degrees. So that's pretty good. In my books anyway. but it's still only 8.5, so it's not gonna freeze our water too well. Let it get back up to ambient. So let's see, it's still taking about 20 degrees off 19 degrees or so off ambient temp, so that's pretty good. Still not quite as cold as I'd like it, but it kind of works. I guess if I take the plate off, I'd be able to probably see greater temperature difference. But the thing is that I'm kind of using that plate to hold the lid in, so I don't really want to take it off. And so yeah, that's basically it. The other thing was I was going to connect up the this nice big heat pipe cooler and try using that instead, but I don't have the mounts for it, so it's kind of a bit useless unless I can make a little metal bracket or something to hold it down. So I'll just try one more time. I might have to do this with the tin lid taken off, because I think it's not really helping. I've also been told that the more the Peltier sort of has to cool, the less efficient, well, they become. So not that efficient anyway, but they're kind of fun to play around with. So I'm not really sure why it's not getting down, but I think it's probably because of this plate. So if I take the plate off, I might be able to get better temperatures, but I wouldn't think it would affect it that much. Okay, so that's it. I'll put another video soon just of testing without this plate on and see if it makes much of a difference. So yeah, thanks for watching.